Connie.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. Happy Friday, Connie.
Happy Friday. I tell ya, we made it.
We did.
This is a good day to do these because what a week it has been.
I know. It's a nice way to end the week for sure.
Totally.
Should we get started?
Yeah, let's.
All right.
To talk about. So hello, everyone. We are Emaya. I'm Connie. This is Michaela, and we are yoga teachers and life coaches, friends and mamas on a mission to help women connect to their light and their purpose and their power. And we believe in this power of community and connection and conversation, which is why we do these coffee talks.
Mm-hmm.
We want to share and we want to learn. Different perspectives and experiences, but also we just want to have you join the conversation and share all your wisdom as well. That's the whole point of doing these little circles virtually. So please feel free to engage, comment, let us know if things are landing for you, if you have any ideas to add to the conversation, and we'll shout it out. And welcome to the replayers as well. I know a lot of you are on your commute. If you're in New York City or on the East Coast, headed to work, and or you're in Romania where Michaela is. Shout out to you guys. But wherever you are, let us know you're here and welcome. Yeah. Today's topic is one near and dear to our hearts: finding the magic in the mess of motherhood.
Yes, I love this. We were thinking about what to talk. We started our Back to Her program last Monday, and it is going so wonderfully. And we're kind of in the thick of it in a really good, fun, juicy way. But we were thinking what should we talk about? What should we talk about that's maybe something a little different than what we've talked about? And I think motherhood came up for us as we're approaching summer and the kids are, getting out of school. And I think kind of personally the challenges that I know you and I are going through with the ages of our kids, that we wanted to just talk about this. And one of the things we say a lot is, especially as yoga teachers, we teach what we most need to remember or learn or heal. And I always think about that when I'm teaching my yoga classes, because it's the poses that I want to avoid are the poses I should be doing.
Yeah.
And so, we just wanted to talk about this, and we really started talking about, mess. What are we talking about? What is this idea of mess? For us, it was kind of and I don't want to speak for you, but for me, the journey of motherhood is the most intense thing I think I've ever done. It's intensely loving. I cry at the drop of a hat because I love him so much. And it's so joyful and fun. And then depending on everybody's mood, it could be everyone's crying on the floor. And it's messy emotionally and, literally in my house. And so we just wanted to talk about that, and just honor that is the experience. And then, the opposite of it is how can we be more present with the mess? Rather than resisting it or trying to change it, how can we just immerse ourselves in this is the season that we're in as moms with our children at these ages, and how can we embrace it more, and find, more peace. So, we put on our coaching hats, we put on our yoga teacher hats, we put on our mama hats, and we came up with 10 ways and practices for finding the magic in the mess, just honoring where we are and trying to make the most out of it and try to create a sense of thriving and not surviving, the day, especially with summer approaching. I personally, there's not a lot to do here. And so I have a little bit of panic. I'm not gonna lie. I don't have the zoo. I don't have, the places that I used to go to in Denver that I knew would make for a really successful day for everybody. I don't have those here. And so I really wanted to share these things that I can too. I'm going to practice this summer. And I know Connie has some really good ones too. So yeah, should we dive right into it?
Do it, girl.
Okay. All right. So the first one is always, I think it's a really important one, but I think it's a challenging one. And it's just taking care of you and your energy. And this is I feel like I'm really getting better at this. Because I've kind of learned by not doing this what happens, and it's not good for anybody. And, if you guys watched our workshop, I did talk about how I suffered from major burnout about a year and a half ago, and I learned the hard way. And so this is a priority for me. So to me, this means sleeping well. I'm working on that one with the kids. Eat well, exercise, schedule time alone. So as somebody who's like, a sensitive person and empath, I really need time alone. Otherwise, the constant stimulation, like I just get into stress. So that was a big one for me, of like making sure I'm scheduling as much time alone as I can, even if it means me locking myself in the bathroom for, 5 minutes on some days. So yeah, and just checking in and making sure, like, this summer, like, am I going to, how am I going to get my workout in? How am I going to, eat well? How am I going to meal plan and eat well? How am I going to get my alone time? And what kind of support do I need to get that? So that's number one. And the sleep for me is still a work in progress, very much so. Number two is, I know I always wake up and Connie's like, how did you sleep today? And I was like, it's the same. It's the same.
Those little buggers.
That's a whole nother coffee talk. Yeah.
It's a whole nother coffee.
It is with, like, maybe we could get a sleep expert on, because that's what I'm going to need.
Not for you, for the children. Let's be clear.
Oh yeah. It's not me. It is me though, because I'm like, I'm not being consistent. That thing of, like, when they were little, it's like, do I sleep train them and be tired for 2 weeks, or do I just kind of like survive this?
Yeah, but I also think your kids just don't like to sleep.
Emily.
She's always been like that. And so that's the other thing, right? They are who they are, man. Hi, Kara. I didn't say hi to Tony, but I don't think he's there anymore.
Hi, Kara. Yeah, it's true. It's true. But anyway, sleep is,
precious.
Precious. And yeah. All right. So number two is embrace the mess. We kind of talked about this, but I'm talking like literal mess. Like, I remember, I think it was my mom. She came over to visit and she was like, what are you doing? Because she was like, if you are going to clean up after every single mess, you're going to exhaust yourself for no reason. Because in 2 minutes they come back in and they make another mess. And I'm somebody who, I need my environment to be clean before I can concentrate. Like, when I'm doing work from home, I have to clean my house. I have to, like, the dishes. Otherwise my brain doesn't work. So this was really a big adjustment for me of, taking off my Monica Geller or Chandler hat and just being like, this is just the way that it is. And just, cleaning up once in the morning or once at night, and then once in the morning or during nap time. I don't know if you're like that, Connie, but this was a hard one. But once my mom called me out on that, I was like, wow.
Well, it's funny. We have notes here. And when I read Michaela's notes on this, I had a vision of myself like, da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na, like trying to like pick up after them. And something that I've been working on with them, and it's not always perfect, but it's to take one toy out at a time. Not perfect, but to play with one thing at a time. So the other day, Hudson was with a babysitter who we love so much, and they were having the time of their lives, but they literally had like emptied out everything, and it was sort of like in an organized mess. But I was like, I walked in and like, I was like, oh my God, like the trains are out, the cars are out, this is at the blocks, like everywhere. But they had made this little village, and like, what am I going to do? Be like, you should be playing with one thing at a time. No, right? Like, you go with the flow, but I find that when I'm on it, like, are you done playing with that? Then put it away before we get the next thing out. It helps a little bit, but I completely agree with you. I'm just cleaning up at the end of the night.
Yeah, it's true. Another thing that I can't do this here because I don't have a garage or a basement, but what I was doing in Denver was circulating our toys, and that was really great advice I got. So that they forget they have a bunch of toys, and then you bring them out, and so it keeps it interesting. It keeps less mess in the house. Yeah. And they think that they're getting new toys, but it's the same one. They just I know, brilliant. So embrace the mess. All right. Number two, less is so much more. I think we're just kind of talking about that in terms of like, I am really kind of getting on board this minimalist train, you guys. I'm not going to lie. We came here thinking we were going to be here for 6 months, and I literally had one suitcase, and that's still all I have. So I'm really enjoying having less is more. Stuff is stuff. I think another thing, you know, one of my friends, I'm in a women's mastermind. She texted this to our group yesterday. For fast acting relief, try slowing down. It's a quote by Lily Tomlin. And I loved that because I think one of the reasons why I got myself into burnouts, because I think I felt like I had to like do all of these things and say yes to every invitation for my kids to have a really rich childhood, or to have like, or if I didn't say yes to things like a kid's birthday party, that I would be robbing my kids of that experience. But the more that I was thinking about this, I was like, by the end of the weekend, we're not energized and rested and ready for the week. We were exhausted and just running around the whole weekend, you know, just trying to like check things off and not really actually being fully present in that experience. And so one of the blessings of being here, where there's not all of those pulls in lots of different directions, is I'm able to actually slow down and be more present and kind of get creative with activities. So my whole thing is like one big activity a day. And then play for the rest of the time. I don't know if that's your experience, Connie, but I think this is a big one.
Yeah, you're preaching, girl. Preach.
Number 4, I just said it. It's be present with your kids. And this is a challenge for me because I do work from home. And, you know, the boundaries around working from home in my own brain, I'm trying to work on, because it's like I feel like I always have to be on the phone. So I am working to like really be present, hide my phone for a certain amount of time, especially, you know, from 5 to bedtime, turning off the TV. And, you know, I've been really checking in, like that can make me really anxious. And so to me, I'm like, okay, if I'm anxious about putting my phone away, I need to do that more. I need to be doing that a lot more. And just being really present with them, because I've noticed like that's like all they want, you know, they just want to play with us and realize, you know, I don't have to clean the house and do the dishes and make the dinner and play with them and, you know, be on my phone. It's just too much. It's overstimulating and it makes me cranky. So I am going to be doing that and practicing disconnecting from my phone and stuff. I'm also going to get outside. One thing I noticed here, it stays light until like 9:30 or 10. So a lot of like here, like all of the kids are playing until like 9:30 or 10. And so a lot of times I'm like, oh my God, my days are so long. Like I need that time to do my stuff. But I really need to embrace that and just like get outside with them more after dinner, you know, and not be so rigid with the schedule, which I think is the fun of summer. We were talking about this, Connie, and just getting outside. So
Meg just said working from home is boundaries, no joke.
It's true. And it's not, you know, I think there's those boundaries come from, I had this like, there's expectations from the employer, but a lot of it is like ours too. Of like, I'll always be working because I can.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Meg. And then the last one that I had is find the magic in the mess by making a mess. One of my really good friends, Susan, who she joins us, maybe she'll pop on. You know, she and I taught preschool for like with the first year that I moved to Denver. And she was her perspective about making a mess was just so great. Like, it's like, get dirty, like let your kids get dirty. Do you remember? I used to love making mud pies when I was a kid. And I notice as I get older, it's like, I'm kind of like, have fun. And then I'm thinking, I gotta do laundry, you know what I mean, in the back of my head. And it's like, no, like let them make a mess, get outside, make those mud pies, bake something, you know, don't worry about it. And really engaging in creative projects with the kids and making lots of art.
I love that.
Last
week we were at the park in Brooklyn, and Hudson was under a tree and like pushing the sand like all over him. It was getting in his shorts and all over him. And I was like, New York City sand, oh, yeah. breathe, freaking out. Like, this is so gross. There's like cigarettes and glass and like all, and this guy who was sitting behind me goes, that's a good mom. And I was like, me? And he's like, yeah, let your kid get dirty. And I'm thinking like, Thank you. But inside I was like, I just want to tell him to stop. I just want to tell him to stop.
I know it's true, but you did it. I think it's
And
challenging.
you
Oh,
survived so
yeah.
far. Oh, look, there she is, Susan.
I was just talking about you, Susan, and how you always encourage kids to make a mess. That's how they really can learn, is by playing and making a mess. And you really reframed that for me. Oh, what touches the hands touches the brain. Never stop a child from exploring. It's so true. I remember that.
Debbie says, I love making cupcakes with kids and letting them decorate them. It's so fun. It's so true, Debbie.
It is.
So true. Shall I start?
Yeah, but Meg's saying Hudson's immune system is going to be strong. Yeah. And I'm remembering the time he licked the pole on the subway.
No, that was Maya.
Oh, was that Maya? Well,
Maya.
they both
the door of the subway, and she did it twice, and I screamed twice.
Well, they'll both have really good immune systems.
Yeah. Well, yeah, here you go right now. Laugh at the situation and lighten up. This is like one of my mantras. So, for example, when Maya licked the subway, I did shout, but then I had to laugh, or I think I would cry the whole way home, right? No, but if you step back and laugh at the way you're handling a situation, or at least like do something silly to break up a tense moment, I think that fun is a good way to get back to the reason we wanted a family in the first place. Even in my relationship with my husband, I feel like when things get so intense with the kids, we have to remember to do a date night and do something fun, because that is what brought us together in the first place. So having fun. Yesterday alone, Tony got a little frustrated with Maya because she was whining, and it just goes right through you. Mm-hmm. And I tried to diffuse the situation and tell him, like, I got this, like, don't get upset with her. We got this. And then literally 3 minutes later, I think I was like, Maya, put on the dress, I was so impatient. And he's like, Connie, are you okay? And I had to just smile, because kind of like the situation was hilarious. I just told my husband not to yell at her, and then here I am going off. And so I took a deep breath and I smiled, and I just kept smiling, and I let my smile change my mood. And we, did a silly dance out the door, and boom, like I just was like, I'm not going to have my whole day be like this.
Yeah.
Barking at them. I think dancing is really good. In a tense moment, putting on some music, and tense moment, I just feel like sometimes at the end of the day, everything just feels so heavy and important, and it's really not. Like, it's going to be okay. So putting on music and dancing, playing games, getting the puzzles out, just kind of like changing the situation to be fun. Another thing I really like to do in a moment to lighten up the situation is plop down on the couch with them and put a movie on that I used to watch when I was little. They are loving The Sandlot, and I know they're way too young for it, but it's like made me happy. So that's number 6. Number 7, talking about and sharing your situation with someone you trust. And I think that this is important, because then you're reminded that you are not alone. I think that Facebook and Instagram just shows all the blissful, gorgeous, perfect moments of motherhood with a lot of the people I follow. And I start to feel like, and here I am teaching women to be empowered and yoga and Zen, and, behind closed doors, it is not always like that. Motherhood is hard. So I think that sharing your experience to remind yourselves that you're not alone as moms, is important. So, for example, like just sharing something that a day where you got it wrong and a friend is like, oh my God, me too. Like when Hudson ran across the street, I couldn't sleep, and I shared it with he's a runner. My kid's a runner, and I like to give him probably too much space, but it's really hard to be a kid in New York City. I feel like I'm constantly telling him, no, but he's a real handful, and ran across the street when I was, looking one way, and boom, to make sure a car wasn't coming, he runs across the street. So I couldn't sleep all night. And, yes, Susan, motherhood is no joke. And I shared it with a friend before I even mentioned it to my husband. And she shared a time where, something similar happened to her. And I actually did feel really good that I am not the only mom in the world that has looked left to see if a car was coming and their kid took off, So I think that sharing is really important for us. And even if you're not a mom, I mean, you're a caregiver, or you're on the other end of listening. I think it's like no judgment, and being with the mom to hold them in that space is important. And also with your children, just kind of like talking about those breakdowns, like, mommy had a moment and I'm not perfect, and I need you to listen to me better, and we're going to work on this, and giving him boundaries. Like for that week, he was not allowed to walk for 2 weeks. He had to be in the stroller. So kind of getting through that moment and being human.
Yeah. I love that about talking with the kids too. I'm trying to do that too. And I've been using this thing of like, let's try this again. Let's try this again.
Yeah, do over.
Really be resonating with them, where it's like, it doesn't have, we're not here to be perfect. We're here to keep trying to listen to each other, and we're a family, and it's going to, it's not always going to be.
I really like that, Kayla. It's like a do-over. Let's try that again. Take 2, because that's not the way that we behave.
Susan's saying it takes a village and we don't ask for help enough. I agree. I really, really agree. And I'm,
yeah. I love that. We're going to get to that in a minute. Thank you for sharing that, Susan, because it's true. We can only do the best we can. No judgments. Intention is always good and full of love, said Debbie. All right, I'm going to move on since we're chugging along here. Remind yourself, I am the adult here. I have the power. They are the children. Often when I'm getting frustrated with their behavior, I have to remind themselves that I've been here a lot longer than they have. They still can't wipe their own butts. They still have temper tantrums. They don't get to be in charge. I do. And I know there's a loving way to do that, but sometimes it's like, I think that I talk to them too much. My mom always reminds me, like, you're trying to explain things way too much. Here comes Hudson. It turned off. I'll be right out. Okay. I know, and Michaela's, and I talk about power struggles with our daughters turning 5. I mean, they just think they know it all, but you know what? If I react less to them and I give them choices, this is what you can do this, or you can do this. Okay, I'll be right out. Patience, right? React less. They tend to, then they have the power in that choice, but really it's like choices that I'm making up that we're kind of in control of. And Michaela also reminded me that we should try to be the calm in the storm and not match the energy of their storm. What does that do? I mean, when they flip their lid, that frontal lobe is done and they can't reason. What's the point in us also going there? So kind of like giving them their space to move through their emotions, because they do that so well as children. Could take a lesson from them. And then, and then dealing with it when they settle down.
And one thing I want to add to that is I think that's really hard for me. Because Emily will whine a lot, and she is very, very strong-willed, and she knows I'll whine for 20 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's also recognizing in me, like, when am I starting to get stressed? Like, when am I starting to get too overstimulated, and recognizing that before I go,
yeah,
and find that alone time that I need,
Yeah. Something that helps with that is number 9, meditate.
Yeah.
Meditate. When I meditate, I can handle my children and frustrating moments way more patiently than if I don't meditate. It just starts my day, and I find myself like literally, if I miss my meditation in the morning and I do it at night, I find I'm way, it's just harder to deal with them. So another reason, another benefit.
And we're seeing that a lot with the mamas in our Back to Her program too, even on day 5. I think they're like, it's really setting a nice tone and pace for the day ahead. Yeah.
Totally. And number 10, one of my faves, and I realize that this might not be for everyone, but call your mom or call a mom or sister-like friend. Because sometimes the come to Jesus on the phone makes everything okay. Sometimes my mom calling me out on my shit makes it okay. Sometimes her just listening to me whine and saying, Connie, I've been there. Remember when makes everything okay. And this is where I want to call Susan out and saying that the village is so important to move through the mess. And my village is growing here, but New York City is so transient. I feel like all my bests have moved away. It's really tough. So FaceTime, the phone, and reaching out for help and trying to just make new connections. I will. I'm almost done. Those new connections are they're just so important.
Yeah.
The babysitter canceled this morning.
Oh no, he's doing great. Susan's saying I sent Owen to his room yesterday because he asked me for gum twice. Talk about a snap. See, this is perfect. Susan sharing this, it's making me feel better.
Just go away. I need mommy time, she said.
Go away. I'm not the only one that thinks that.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that too. Like when they're having these moments of being annoying, like, do you know what? You can be annoying, but you can go be annoying in your room right now. And when you feel like being a normal human being, you can come back out and we can chill.
Yeah. Easy.
Easier said than done, I realize.
Yeah. So those are our 10. And, obviously we're working on them, we're practicing them. We want to know what your tips, strategies, and ideas are for embracing the mess and finding magic in the mess. What creative ideas do you have for this summer? Please share. I personally really, really, really need them.
Yes.
We love creative projects, and I'm limited here. I don't really know where to go all the time. So please share and let us know. I'm going on vacation next week. Connie's going on vacation the following week. So we'll be back in mid-July with our next coffee talk. And we just want to send you guys lots of love and wish you a beautiful start to the summer and just send lots of love. So happy summertime, guys.
Happy summertime, everyone. We'll see you in a few weeks.
Bye.